The political landscape of Nigeria's capital city has just experienced a massive earthquake today, Sunday, February 22, 2026, as the Independent National Electoral Commission has officially declared the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Christopher Maikalangu, as the undeniable winner of the highly anticipated Abuja Municipal Area Council chairmanship election. This election, which has captured the attention of the entire nation because of its strategic importance as a major litmus test ahead of the 2027 general elections, ended with a dramatic twist that has left the African Democratic Congress absolutely furious and ready to contest the outcome. The results were announced in the early hours of Sunday morning by the official collation officer for the Abuja Municipal Area Council, Andrew Abue, who stood before party agents, security personnel, and the media to confirm that Christopher Maikalangu, the incumbent chairman running under the banner of the ruling APC, had successfully defended his seat. According to the final numbers released by the electoral umpire, the APC candidate secured a total of 40,295 votes to emerge victorious. This massive figure put him safely ahead of his closest rival, Dr. Moses Paul of the African Democratic Congress, who put up a spectacular and unprecedented fight to secure 12,109 votes. Coming in a very distant and shocking third place was the People's Democratic Party, a party that used to dominate the politics of the capital city, which only managed to scrape together 3,398 votes. The total number of valid votes cast in this chairmanship poll stood at 62,861, while the total number of votes cast overall, including the rejected ballots, was 65,197. When you look at these numbers, you realize just how intense this political battle was. But the story does not end with the declaration of a winner, because the African Democratic Congress is rejecting these results entirely, creating a very tense atmosphere in the capital city. The anger from the camp of the African Democratic Congress is rooted in their belief that the election process was heavily flawed in several polling units across the Municipal Area Council, and they are not keeping quiet about it. Throughout the voting exercise on Saturday, February 21st, the ADC candidate, Dr. Moses Paul, had been very vocal about his vision for a new Abuja, moving the conversation away from traditional political rhetoric and focusing strictly on service delivery. The residents of major areas like Gwarimpa, Wuse, Deidei, and the various satellite towns had thrown their weight behind the ADC because they were demanding practical solutions to everyday problems like bad roads, poor sanitation, rising insecurity, and a lack of true grassroots governance. Because of this massive wave of organic support, the ADC leadership firmly believes that the 12,000 votes allocated to them by the Independent National Electoral Commission do not accurately reflect the sheer number of people who came out to vote for their candidate. They are pointing fingers to the delayed uploading of results to the INEC result viewing portal, popularly known as IREV, noting that by Saturday night, only about 81% of the results from the 1,401 polling units in the Abuja Municipal Area Council had been uploaded. For a party that campaigned so vigorously on transparency and the power of the youth vote, this delay in electronic transmission is being viewed as a red flag, and the party's legal team is already gathering evidence from their agents across all 12 wards of the council to prepare what looks like an inevitable legal challenge at the Election Petition Tribunal. The frustration of the ADC is completely understandable when you consider the amount of energy and resources they poured into mobilizing young voters who have grown tired of the two major political parties. But the APC is celebrating this victory as a clear mandate from the people to continue their developmental agenda in the nation's capital. If you are finding this deep dive into the 2026 Federal Capital Territory elections interesting and you want to follow every single update as the African Democratic Congress prepares to take their grievances to court, please take a quick second to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now. We are dedicated to bringing you the most accurate, unbiased, and straightforward political news from across Nigeria, and making sure your notification bell is turned on means you will be the absolute first to know when the tribunal begins its sitting and when the major decisions that will shape the 2027 general elections are made. Your support helps us keep the lights on and allows us continue breaking down these complex political stories into plain English that everyone can understand. So please join our growing community today. To really understand the weight of this election, we have to look at the atmosphere on election day and the massive logistical operation that the Independent National Electoral Commission had to pull off. The Federal Capital Territory Area Council elections are very unique because unlike local government elections in the 36 states of the Federation, which are conducted by state-level electoral commissions, the FCT elections are conducted directly by INEC. This gives the process the full structure, visibility, and credibility of a national federal election, making it a perfect testing ground for the bimodal voter accreditation machines ahead of the 2027 presidential and governorship races. On Saturday morning, residents woke up to a heavy and intimidating presence of security personnel, including the police, the military, and civil defense officers, who were deployed to major highways, collation centers, and polling units across the 6 area councils to ensure that there was no breakdown of law and order. A strict 12-hour restriction of movement was put in place across the territory, meaning that businesses were shut down and only people performing essential duties or going out to vote were allowed on the roads. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, was seen moving around various polling units in the satellite towns to assess the conduct of the elections, and he publicly praised the peaceful nature of the exercise and the enthusiasm of the voters who came out to perform their civic duty. Despite the heavy security, the election was mostly peaceful, especially at the polling unit of the victorious APC candidate Christopher Maikalangu, who voted early in the day and expressed absolute satisfaction with the efficiency of the voting process. In fact, official results from his specific polling unit showed that he completely dominated his immediate constituency, securing 229 votes compared to the mere 15 votes gathered by his closest rival, Dr. Moses Paul of the ADC. Maikalangu told journalists right after casting his ballot that the process took less than 3 minutes, praising INEC for fixing the technical glitches that had caused problems in previous election cycles. However, while the APC is throwing a massive victory party in the Abuja Municipal Area Council, the story was completely different in other parts of the Federal Territory, proving that Nigerian voters are becoming much more sophisticated and are voting for individuals rather than just blindly following a single political party. For example, in the Gwagwalada Area Council, the People's Democratic Party pulled off a stunning victory that has given their supporters a massive reason to celebrate. The returning officer for that area council, Philip Akpemen, officially announced that Mohammed Kasim of the PDP is the newly elected chairman of Gwagwalada after he secured a highly impressive 22,165 votes. He managed to defeat the APC candidate Yahaya Shehu, who scored 17,788 votes, while the candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, Biko Umar, came in third with 1,687 votes. This mixed bag of results across the different area councils shows that the political monopoly that either the PDP or the APC used to enjoy is slowly fading away, replaced by a highly competitive environment where candidates actually have to prove their worth to the voters. The fact that the APC won AMAC but lost Gwagwalada to the PDP highlights the complex tribal, religious, and economic demographics that make up the Federal Capital Territory. AMAC is the economic and political heartbeat of Nigeria. It houses the Presidential Villa, the National Assembly, the headquarters of all federal ministries, and the diplomatic community, making it the most prestigious local government area in the entire country. Winning AMAC is often seen as a reflection of the federal government's popularity, which is why the APC poured so much effort into making sure Christopher Maikalangu retained his seat. But the rise of the ADC as the main opposition in this specific council is a huge warning sign for the ruling party that the educated urban population in the city center is looking for fresh alternatives. We also have to talk about the voter turnout, which presents a very serious question about political participation in our country. According to the official documents released by INEC, there are 837,338 registered voters in Abuja Municipal Area Council alone. But on election day, only 65,666 people actually came out to get accredited and cast their votes. This means that an overwhelming majority of the registered voters simply stayed at home, either due to lack of interest, fear of violence, or a general feeling that their votes would not count. This extreme voter apathy is something that the Independent National Electoral Commission, civil society organizations, and the political parties themselves need to address urgently before the 2027 general elections. When less than 10% of the registered voters decide the fate of the most important municipal council in the country, it raises deep concerns about the health of our democracy at the grassroots level.
The residents of Abuja are very quick to complain about uncollected garbage, broken street lights, multiple taxation, and poor infrastructure in the satellite towns. Yet when the time came to hire the man who would be responsible for fixing these exact issues for the next 4 years, the polling units were largely empty. The people who did come out must be commended for their patriotism, and the security agencies must also be praised for ensuring that the pockets of tension, such as a minor disruption involving tear gas at a polling unit in Kuje during the vote counting process, were quickly contained without escalating into widespread violence. The FCT elections of 2026 have proven that while our electronic technology is gradually improving, the human element of mobilizing the masses to actually participate remains our biggest challenge.